This was supposed to be just an unqualified blowout. I mean, the spread
walkover.
was like 17-0.
Now, mind
the
you,
Colts were considered invincible.
Now, mind you, what was so incongruous to me is even as young as I was, I'm sitting there looking at this swashbuckler. You know, I mean, he was a swashbuckler, and he's ruling the roost. And his coach made Earl Morrall look like Bad Bunny. You know, I mean,
or maybe Sam Smith.
Reed Eubank was about, he crew cut, a little overweight, and just nothing but business. I mean, he even made Shula look.
He figured something out there that outfought Shula.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Good to be back with you here on the Defo Show. After all, it is the Defo Show. It's always good to, kind of be on your own show. Although we did manage, I don't know how those phone calls worked out. I felt like I was a little too serious on those calls.
It sounded good. I actually enjoyed it. It made not having you here a lot easier, so I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not easy to, sit there and stare into the lights and say, ready, go. It was great. No, I couldn't have been any happier. And wow, it was terrific because a neighbor of ours, a guy named Rory, lives next door to us. He picks up my New York Post with. I'm afraid to cancel it for a couple of days because you don't know if they're going to start up delivery again. And so I always forget about it anyway. You forget to call and say, hey, can you suspend delivery for a couple of days? So I mean, what's a bigger giveaway that nobody's living in a house than to see like 4 or 5 days worth of newspapers sitting outside, right? Why don't you just leave the door open and, say, hey, come on in, take whatever you want. So anyway, he picks up the newspapers and the mail for me. So what's the first thing I get? The first letter from the last 3 days accumulation of mail. It's an offer to go to Biloxi, Mississippi from the very same Caesars Rewards program. We hadn't even gotten our feet in the house yet, and they're already asking us to go on another casino junket. Now, Biloxi's a whole different thing. I don't jump at the offer to go to Biloxi. Usually, when they offer these trips, the plane is out of Fort Myers, which, what are you going to do? Are you really going to schlep to the Fort Myers airport? Park a car in there, go to Biloxi, Mississippi, which it's expanded substantially since, I want to say, I've been there one time since my initial visit there, which I helped christen one of the casinos, the Casino Magic, it was called. I don't know if it still got the same name or whatever. And they had just started with gambling in Biloxi, Mississippi. Casino Magic was the first place. They had a hard shell tent. Actually, if you went down to, dare I mention this name? I don't know if, I'll get in trouble for this, but if you went down to the Miccosukee Indian Gaming site in the beginning, they had put up a big hard shell tent at one point before they started putting up hotels and all kinds of crazy stuff there on the grounds. And it's expanded exponentially since. But this was June 6th, 1994. I just looked at the poster, and they christened this Casino Magic with a boxing match that a couple of friends of mine were promoting. So they had me doing the play-by-play. They were doing some kind of minor lightweight television broadcast on this thing. I think it might have even been pay-per-view, which is astonishing when you consider that the main event consisted of a 60-year-old Hercules Mike Weaver against some guy who was claiming to be the Mexican heavyweight champion, a guy named Ladislao Mahingos.
I've heard that name.
Ladislao didn't have much of a chin. He was a big guy. He actually did look like the chief in Cuckoo's Nest. He looked just like the actor, Ladislao Mahingos. I know you can start with your aspersions being cast my way. There he goes, characterizing everybody and racially profiling everybody. All Indians, all Native Americans look the same. But no, I mean, this guy didn't have much of a game. His record, I believe, as he was the Mexican heavyweight champion, was supposedly like 21-15. And Mike Weaver had a lot of losses, Lubie. You remember Mike Weaver, his big claim to fame, became the heavyweight champion. He had a hell of a physique. And then he had a couple of sons that also fought, although they were not heavyweights. I believe they were fairly successful in a lower weight division. But Mike Weaver had a ton of losses. I should drag the poster out over here because he had like, I don't know, maybe even could he have had 20 losses, Hercules Mike Weaver? But after losing, I mean, he lost every second of every round to in a 15-round fight. I want to say this was still a 15-rounder to Big John Tate. You remember Big John Tate?
That
In
name.
Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, Weaver's getting the shit beat out of him for 14 rounds. If it was a 15-rounder, I want to say yes to that. 14 rounds and 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And then he lands a shot and knocks out Tate and wins the heavyweight championship of the world. And he was a fairly compelling figure in the sense and a popular figure because he was an ex-Marine. I mean, he had a lot of things going for him that at the time we dug as Americans in terms of liking our boxers. And then he went on and fought some of the better guys in the heavyweight division. But by this time, he was absolutely a shot fighter. And he did knock out Mijangos in this fight, which was part of like a 12-fight card. I remember, it was one of the interesting traveling trilogies that I was ever involved in as a sportscaster. It's a very exciting business sometimes. And as much as I always wanted to travel, I don't know that I would want to do all of this in a 24-hour span ever again. Yeah. But I was actually in Omaha, Nebraska, and I had to catch a flight to New Orleans. I was in Omaha because the Canes were in a baseball World Series, and I had to catch a flight to New Orleans. I go to New Orleans to call this fight and then catch a flight home, and I was on the radio later on that afternoon. So, it was like a 24-hour span, Omaha to Biloxi, through New Orleans, and then down to Miami to be on the radio. And I remember doing the show from like Shula's Steak 2, what was known at the time as Shula's Steak 2. They had a little studio in there. And I was thinking, wow, this is the shit. Well, what a great thing, I mean, you're calling baseball, you're in a live boxing match, doing a radio show. What happened, Lubie? Here we are, like 30-something years later. Hey, anybody call today about a job? No, nobody.
You said it, though. Like, it's funny. I look at what people do to succeed in this business, and it's not like I wouldn't at one point have done that. The problem is I liked having, it's so funny, this term that's come into existence that didn't exist then.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wouldn't be where they are if they believed in this. But this work-life balance, I guess, bullshit, is literally how I live my life. I don't know if it's held me back or held you back, but you just said it. You did it one time, and we're like, I don't know if I'm doing. Like, these people, you understand, like an Ian. I forget that I forget everything Ian does.
Oh my God, yeah.
He'll have like a period where he doesn't do much, when
very short period.
But right now, he does Westwood One.
Right.
He does CBS, and that's all over the country. A lot of the time, they'll help him out and make it the Jets or whatever, but it's all over the country. He does the Nets. So he has to be wherever they are.
That's a lot of bizarre travel. Yeah.
TNT, which is like 2 times a week. And I think he's become their number 1 NBA guy. So
yes, Marv retired.
So
and he's doing college basketball somewhere.
And he does basketball college, and he's great at it. But it's like that means from like and he does Jet preseason. So from like August to June, he's 4 or 5 days a week. Who knows where? And that's good for him.
Yeah, you never mind though. I mean, as long as you don't, fall apart from fatigue, you just never mind.
Yes,
I mean, look what you're doing. You're setting up. It was like Rosenblatt Stadium at the time. You're sitting there calling baseball, and this was one of my life dreams. I was to do baseball play-by-play. If I had a dream job, it might have been to do play-by-play for the Mets or whatever. That would have been fantastic. Now they're hiring a bunch of young guys, Libby. I mean, there's hope for you. Yeah. Although you may have passed the age where people are getting into this radio stuff.
And I give people credit for wanting to do it. And I was always at one point, like in my 20s. But then you get married and you start to live a life, and it's like, do I really want to be on the road 5 days a week? And I get these people make.
You probably do. Trust me, it can be.
See, I know. I give you credit.
Detrimental to a relationship, no doubt about it. And there are always going to be suspicions, like who's she? When a message pops up on your phone, somebody I met in St. Louis, yeah. It wasn't like I did an overwhelming amount of that happened to be like a bizarre, just quick period there. But I always enjoyed it. I really did. I'm not unhappy that I don't do it as much anymore. But look, calling games for a living or doing live sports or radio shows, whatever, doing what we're doing right now. If you can make money doing it, it's absolutely the most fantastic thing, at least for me, because you don't really have to know anything. And, it's not physically demanding. Get up in the morning. I mean, the toughest thing I do is take a shower. I don't want to say what goes on in there, but as you get up there, that takes a little more time. It's good to be with you, though. Biloxi, do I go? I don't think so. That's April. I really enjoy Atlantic City. A lot of people don't like Atlantic City, and they tend to, cast aspersions about Atlantic City. It sucks. What do you want to go there for? But it couldn't be any nicer of a trip. It was great. And all the Altacockers, wow. I mean, they accumulated a few more wheelchair assisted people on the way back. Some people actually lost their ability to walk on their own during the 3 days we were in Atlantic City. What's also weird is you sit in the same seat on the plane, so it's the same seating arrangement.
Yeah.
And the wheelchair assisted, obviously, and there's some people that legitimately need it. There was a lady sitting next to us on a plane. We were three across there. She had the window seat both ways. We started talking to her. On the way up, she was asleep the entire time. Like she had gotten on the plane early with the wheelchair assistance. So she was already in her seat when we got on. And she was already asleep against the window with a pillow, which I admire that. I mean, that is the way to travel. If you can sleep on planes, that was one of the real assets of that period of time where I was traveling around a lot, is that I had the ability to fall asleep immediately upon takeoff and wake up as they landed. And so it didn't matter where you were going, Vegas, New York, wherever you were traveling to, I was out cold the entire time. And travel was a little bit different then, because it was possible to go to the back of the plane and find like 6 empty rows and just lay across the 3 rows. Sometimes, if you couldn't pull up what is that called again? Now I'm blanking on that. The little side thing, armrest.
Table? The
There you go.
armrest or the table?
Armrest.
Jesus, dude. That was a long
Way to
trip.
go, Deep. Couldn't pull up the armrest. That made it prohibitive to lay across the 3 seats. Then you were scrunched up in a little fetal position type of ball, which at 6 feet tall is not the easiest thing. And then you have issues. How do you know when it's time to lose weight, Lubie? Here's a guaranteed two guaranteed signs that you need to start losing weight. Now, this didn't happen to me yet, but you know what? If it gets close, it's scary. When the hotel towels, you can't wrap them around your waist. The hotel towels. When you're having to pinch that thing to get it to close, and you're thinking, I don't want this thing to fall down because a maid might be knocking on the door. When those don't stretch around your body easily, time to maybe go on a diet. And then the other thing is, I mean, God forbid that this will never happen to you, but it could happen to larger people, where you have to ask for the seatbelt extender.
Oh no!
On the plane.
Yeah, no, that's not the dream.
Man, have a salad. I mean, just get on a diet. The minute that becomes a factor, where it's like pinching your fat, go on a diet right away. I mean, realize that you don't need a scale. You don't need anybody to tell you anything. You don't need any motivational guy. You don't need Billy Banks or whatever that guy's name was. It Billy Blanks? Who was that guy? With
Billy
the kung
Blank.
fu, boxing, kung
Billy
fu,
Blank.
or whatever he was doing.
Tybo.
Tybo, yeah. What happened to him, man? He's still around. I think he's still consulting
He's
some gym somewhere. He might be on like Planet Fitness commercials. But if those two things happen, seatbelt extender on the airplane and/or the hotel towels don't fit around your waist, even in a cheesy hotel, you might be at a Super 8, but the towel should still fit around your waist. No? Without any problem whatsoever. They just said automatically. You're like thinking, wow, these are some big ass towels. I think I'll take a few. Sure sign to go on a diet. Biloxi's changed, though. I mean, this was June 6, 1994. There's really nothing going on there. They had the Casino Magic. They might have had one other casino, but I believe it's changed for the better. And I had been back there. I went there with the Dice SWAT team. That also had to be many, many years ago, because I haven't seen those guys. They were kind of big with the overnight cruises to nowhere. And they would go out on those and you just take down gobs of cash. I remember they put this one casino out of business. The Casino Princesa operated very briefly out of Miami. You had the Sun Cruise here. That became the most well-known, but there was another one that went out of business also. Obviously, they all did, but or seems like they have. Do they still have these cruises to nowhere where you go out on a gambling cruise? Maybe out of Palm Beach. They had the Palm Beach Princess. We used to be advertisers for them. Can you still go on a boat somewhere and go out and to the 3-mile limit and gamble for a while?
They used to do something to Bimini. I don't know if they still do that. That I'm not sure. That's interesting.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything on that. I think they put themselves out of business. They
Yeah.
invested a lot of money in
Yep.
marketing and things like that, and I don't think anybody ever went because who the hell wants to be on the water for 4 hours in rough seas? And those cruises, were okay. It was kind of fun. You go out there, but if you lost your ass in the first hour, then it really wasn't a whole lot of fun.
Exactly. What do you do the rest of the time?
The offshore ATM machine. I mean, the VIG on the offshore ATM machine was just impossible to justify, no matter how desperate you were to get your money back. But I don't know. I mean, I actually considered it as soon as I got in the door because I love the casino drift. I really do. And they do have sports books there. I believe they have horse race simulcasting, which is my big key to enjoyment on these kind of trips. And, and then everything else. Now Biloxi, is that close enough to like Memphis? To jog over there because there's always the idea, the notion is in your head. We did this one time when we went to Atlantic City. I'll probably never do it again. Rented a car for a day and drove to Philadelphia just to break the routine up. This was a couple of times ago, and I thought it's not even worth it because we walked around Philadelphia. All right, so what do? You see the Rocky statue, you do one of these. You walk up like a zillion stairs, man. I mean, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, and that is ridiculous to walk up into that museum of art that they have there. Where the Rocky statue is in Philadelphia. And then, you look at a couple of things that don't make any sense to you, and you're wondering how they consider this art in the first place. You come out of there, and you go get a cheesesteak somewhere, and then you drive back while eating the cheesesteak in the car, which is not...
How easy is that?
It's like eating a burrito, like a really big...
like the big ones.
Fat, plump burrito that you can get like in California. We'll have to talk to Mayo about that. I don't know that he's had a decent burrito in his lifetime, this kid. But I mean, other than Mexican food, Chinese is tough to eat in a car. What?
Potato they used to do somehow. A loaded baked potato.
Loaded baked potato. I used to eat on the way back from Landlubbers. I'd eat wings. Wings are tough in a car.
Pasta.
Yeah. Spaghetti. There's nothing I haven't eaten while driving. Trust me. I have no pay. As soon as I get out of the store there, I'm unwrapping something. Right. By the way, I don't know. I mean, I've decided, and this is more of a local thing in Florida here. I don't know how far this chain of stores extends. Are they only Florida Publix? But from reading all of the horror accounts about, and I've experienced this, the sticker shock at the cash register at Publix, where you have 4 items and the 4 items total $62.50, and you're like, well, wait a minute. You see that roast beef is on sale and it's like $15 a pound, and you're thinking, is the cow out back? I mean, how fresh is this shit? Think I'm going to try like another supermarket, Lubie. I'm going to go out of my way a little bit and just see what the difference is, right?
You have Aldi right by you. It's just the only problem with Aldi is they don't have everything. Like they will sometimes have this thing, sometimes have that thing, and it's like that's the thing with a Costco. Like you can get in bulk, but they don't always have the same stuff all the time. Like Publix.
Costco's a little scary for me, especially with a broken toe, man. Because the shopping carts there are massive in size. Pretty much can count on somebody mowing you down at some point, running over your foot, or some kind of conflict arising there. Plus, I don't know that I want to buy stuff in that massive amount of bulk.
I agree.
When you have like 3 little Lubies running around, okay, good. You go there, you get the toilet paper, you need 1,000 rolls. That's great. Anyway, I don't know. There's a Winn-Dixie not much further down the road from me that I actually think is a pretty good one. So that's my next move. I'm going to try and save a little money on shopping because it's just the audacity of people ripping you off. It's not that, the convenience isn't worth a few more dollars maybe, but, it's just the audacity that they're smiling in your face as they're robbing you blind. Very much like a casino experience where they give you nothing back for your money. How did he afford? I mean, I'm wondering how much. One lady said she hit a jackpot for 13 dimes on the plane. A lady sitting in front of us, and she was very casual about it. 13 dimes, and she was just like, "Oh yeah, I hit something by 13,000."
Oh my god,
fucking 1,000, man! I'd be going nuts. I'd be buying drinks for everybody on the plane. That'd be great. All right, a lot of stuff happening in the sporting world. I know, Lubie, and we're gonna have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge today with Dave Gurggles Gergely. And later on, a little NBA conversation with one of our favorites here. The guy is always very candid and knows his stuff. Does the broadcasts with the Detroit Pistons now, but we love him and remember him as a founding father there with the Miami Heat. Was on the floor in the starting lineup, the original Heat starting lineup. Grant Long going to join us. He's become a good friend of the program and just a great guy to talk to about baskets or anything else. We have reached. Have we officially reached the All-Star break, Lubie?
Yes, from what I know, that was the Heat's last game before the break.
We are 59 games into the season, and the Heat have played 60.
So they have 20 games left at the break.
They're 3/4 of the way through the season. Well, what is Adam Silver doing there? He can't read a calendar, this guy? They've played 60 of their 82 games, and we're at the All-Star break? Well, what sense does that make? None, right? I mean, absolutely. Who cares, right? Just play the All-Star game after the season at this point. We only have 22 games to go. The Heat, a mixed bag of stuff. 32-28, not a terrible team, but now have fallen into 7th position in the East. They dropped behind the Knicks after losing to this revitalized Brooklyn team, which looks nothing like it did at the start of the season. I mean, if you bought the Brooklyn Nets yearbook this year, you pretty much wasted your money. The big story out of New York is what the hell happened to Ben Simmons? How could Ben Simmons end up being a scrub? They made the comparison. Mike Vaccaro, columnist in the New York Post, also a guy that we love to feature here on the program. Mike's great. And he is now like the preeminent sports writer in New York. That's quite a distinction because they still put out a sports section in New York. The Daily News has one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as the New York Post, although a lot of people would say otherwise. I think the Post has a great sports section. That's why I don't mind paying the big money to get the thing delivered to my house every day. And he was comparing the career of Ben Simmons to Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway, whose first 4 years in the league, he lit it up, right? It was Penny and Shaq. Orlando Magic were probably, the most popular team, for a while during the hiatus of Michael Jordan.
They were fun.
And the Chicago Bulls. That they had kind of dropped off of the scene, although they were still in contention for championships. And Orlando was the team to watch, right? A young Shaq, Penny Hardaway. Penny was lighting it up, about 20-some-odd points a game. Spectacular ball player. Had all of the tools that you need to be a superstar in a league. Torn meniscus, it's kind of surprising to me that a torn meniscus could take a guy down like that, especially, how many years ago is that, Louis?
It was early 90s.
Maybe. The advancements in orthopedic surgery, are tremendous. Now a guy gets a torn. Hell, I had one. I don't know how severe it was. Maybe it was a minor tear. I never really got into the degree. And I literally walked out of the operating room, and I could have played whatever ball, level I'm at, but I could have gone out and played like the next day, which is amazing. And the meniscus used to, take you on for a while, but I don't know that it was career ruination.
Well, the problem with him was he got hurt. He got a big deal, went to the Suns, and then they kept botching surgeries. Like after his career, he talked about it. Like he kept getting injured again and again and again, and the surgeries didn't take, and he just never was the same. And look, and I actually agree with Andy. Ben Simmons at his peak was really good. He was an all-star, borderline all-NBA.
Not a great shooter. That was his big problem.
At his peak was like, and the NBA was in its heyday, and he was considered by many a top 5. Like, he was in that top 5 player discussion. Like, Penny was ridiculous when he was.
He was drawing comparisons to Jordan.
Yeah, yes, he was right. He was like a top 5.
He was like all NBA his second year and third year, I believe, in the league.
You had Jordan, you had Grant Hill, you had all these guys that were all top 50 ever players, and Penny was in the same breath with them. Penny was a different,
very popular player too. Highly popular.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ben Simmons is just an absolute anchor for the Brooklyn Nets right now, and he's what's left. Now, that's the funny thing. After all of this, brouhaha about the big three and how great they were going to be, Harden first splits, then Kyrie, and shortly thereafter Kevin Durant, who is yet to play for the Phoenix Suns. I guess he's going to come back after the All-Star break, which essentially is at the end of the season. So he's going to be ready for the postseason, right? We're already ready for the postseason and playing the All-Star game. What is that, Louie? Anyway, Mikal Bridges has 45 last night. Nearly a triple-double, or did he have a triple-double against the Miami Heat, who get blown out by the Brooklyn Nets, 116-105. I didn't know if Brooklyn was going to win another game this year. But you're saying they may have benefited from the Durant trade by picking up some, Dinwiddie is actually a decent player.
Yeah,
he's had a couple of good ball games.
And the Durant trade, they got actual players. So they're not better. They're not going to get 10 for a title, but I guess they're not going to fall off the cliff I thought they were.
They were better than the Heat. That's for sure last night. Tyler Hero was out. Everybody abdicating their position in the All-Star game. Nobody wants to play. Joel Embiid, who got screwed, obviously, by not being named a starter to begin with, if that has any distinction to these players, if it has any meaning, he definitely got the shaft on that. He should be starting in the All-Star game. Was named a starter because other guys have defected. And now he's saying, I don't know, I'm hurt. So nobody wants to go and play in this thing. Tyler Hero was in the three-point competition, but he was out last night. So I don't know. Does that inhibit his chances of being involved in that, or did he just take a passeroo and say, hey, I got to get healthy? Anyway, Brooklyn now 35-24. Pretty remarkable considering what's gone on during their course of their season. And the Heat sit there at 32-28 at the All-Star break, 60 games into the season. 4 games over 500 is kind of I don't know if it's so scintillating. All right, a lot of talk about the new rules in baseball. I want to get into that for a minute here. And Dave Gurggles Gergely going to join us in a couple of minutes. And we'll get the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge going. You can dial us up at 954-417-0070 if you'd like to be a part of that and take a chance to win the grand prize, which is a Landlubber's gift certificate. And Lubie will be at Landlubber's again tonight. See, you do work a lot of jobs, my friend.
I do. I just do it here.
Yeah.
Like that's once in a while traveling, I can see. It's just I got
You've been all over the world, though. No one has traveled more than you.
But I go with her. Like this thing where 4 days a week you're all over America. I give guys credit for doing it because it's a lot of the time what you have to do to succeed. I don't know if I could have done it and had a healthy relationship. That's just my question.
It comes with a certain sense that maybe there is some level of value to what you're doing. That somebody would actually fly you around the country to have you perform on their shows. I don't know. I always thought it was kind of a cool thing. The new baseball rules. This is kind of weird. You're only allowed 2 pickoff attempts per batter. Now that's fine with most people because nobody likes pickoff attempts, do they? Unless you're the team that's on defense is your team, and the guy gets picked off. How many throws over to first base? Did they make when like Maury Wills and Lou Brock and Davey Lopes and some of these big-time, Ricky Henderson, all of these big-time base stealers were in action. How many times do you think they threw over to first base? Like 11 times per batter? How come those games didn't take so long? Look, now, what is the deal on that? This is the whole thing. It's in the interest of time.
Yeah, okay.
Because nobody wants 3-hour baseball games anymore. It's funny, too, when you look back at some of the TOG's time of game. If you look back at old box scores, and you'll see like Seaver versus Gibson.
It was like an hour.
Right. And the game took like 2:01, to play. You rarely see that anymore because of all the pitching changes and all the specialists that are involved in the game. And that seems to be maybe the number of substitutions that you're allowed. I don't know. Can you really legislate this out of the game, Lubie, and not change the game to the point? They've already done it with the extra innings thing. A lot of people don't like that. The so-called baseball purists, the George Wills of the world, the Bob Costas. I don't know how Costas feels about it. At first I thought this is appalling that they would put a guy on second base to start the 10th inning. And now I'm thinking it's more in conjunction with what other sports are doing to decide ball games. And that is after the actual regulation time of the game is up, let's figure out a way to get this done quicker. Right? Do we really want to play endless sudden death overtime in hockey, even in the postseason, where teams play 6 periods? I'm not sure how much fun that is if you're a fan.
Well, look, the whole thing is weird. And look, they did do the thing that you and I agree on is icky. They either got rid of the shift or they're limiting the shift.
The shift being regulated, out of the game, I think is also atrocious.
Yeah, I think it sucks. I think that's weird. Find a way
to teach guys how to hit. Get better players.
Yep.
How do you do that? How do you tell somebody that even though this guy never hits the ball ever to the left side, you have to have 2 guys standing on the left side of the infield?
What's the
Why
point?
not just take them off the field altogether at that point? They're useless. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest thing. If I'm a hitter, which I was always good at the opposite field. Like I'm a right-hander, but I like to go left in basketball. I always hit the ball to right field because the fat kid was always playing right field. Yeah. And usually the defense was weaker. The shortstop was usually a better fielder than the second baseman. The first baseman was usually also a big Boog Powell type of bulky guy, whereas the third baseman looked like Mike Schmidt. The left fielder was usually a better outfielder than the guy that they put in right, unless, you're at the major league level and you could name like any number of great defensive right fielders. So it wasn't as much true there. But hitting the ball the opposite way, even when I play tennis, I want to hit that Jim Courier inside-out shot, right? You're on the left side of the court. You want to blast it up the line on the right and go cross court with this stuff. It was always easier for me to kind of take an open stance. How could Major League? It's just like pros that can't hit free throws. How could Major League hitters that are incurring the shift against them not work every day on just hitting a bouncer to the other side? You don't even have to make good contact when they have nobody over there. All you have to do is get the ball in play. That's it. And you can't, shorten up your swing a little bit and swing a little later and do that, slap the ball the other way. I mean, it's insane. I don't know how it's justifiable to make a rule that you have to play defenders on a certain side of the field. In football, can you imagine telling people, okay, no double coverage on Kelsey? It's not fair.
Look, and it's actually sort of like that. You can't run this zone because oh shit, the offense hasn't figured it out.
Right.
And I get it.
You're telling Jimmy B to drop the 2-3 already.
Yeah.
This antiquated defensive system that's been working for him forever, although not so much anymore. But thank you very much for those 2 bogus foul calls at the end of the game. That got me my 3-point victory. When it happens in your favor, it's always good. Right?
It's like the Chiefs game when everyone was losing. I was like, I was on the Chiefs. So.
And speaking of it, quit crying, people. If I see any more crying about this holding call,
people still are doing it.
My God,
it doesn't mean anything. I just look, and I get it. All the leagues are doing it. We want more points, and baseball. But the problem is, baseball did things to get more runs, and it actually fucked it. They're the one sport that actually we get more home runs now. And your game's more boring somehow.
Worse than ever because nobody can make contact. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Which is an inherent problem with hitting the ball the opposite way. Because if you're not a good contact hitter, it becomes a little bit more difficult to maneuver the bat and do that. But I think that's an atrocious rule. I was never in favor of that. Some people are going to like it. Obviously, it's going to improve some batting averages of especially left-handed hitters. It doesn't seem like righties struggle as much with that, although they do shift on right-handers, but not to the extremes that you see with left-handed hitters, where there's nobody on the left side of the infield, and you can't imagine the guy can't lay down a bunt or something. Just any kind of contact to the left side and get on base. That would make a big difference. I'm not sure what the pitch clock is going to do. The 2 pickoffs, I mean, after the second pickoff attempt, then the guy knows you can't throw over to first base. So I think that's a self-defeating rule, is it not?
They want more stolen bases. Look, all the things that are wrong with baseball, they're trying to address, but it's the way they're doing it. It feels icky. It's like, okay, now you're forcing. They're gonna have you better steal bases now. It's like, okay.
I know. I mean, because everything, as you said, it become contingent on the home run. So nobody wants to lose a base runner, and the idea of knocking a guy home from second base, but by just if you're a situational hitter and you play baseball at any level, what's guys in scoring position, you're naturally thinking, hey, I'm going to look for a hole somewhere in the defense and try to shoot the ball up the middle. I mean, the easiest thing, it scores a run. And maybe not quite as good as a home run, but it's a lot better than striking out and leaving runners stranded all over the place. As the saying goes, that guy stranded more runners than the people at Gilligan's Island. Unbelievable. All right, Tennessee beats Alabama, number 1 in college basketball, goes down again in flames. Did you see these UConn? I believe it was Creighton they were playing in the women's game. Gino Auriemma stolen last night. My God. Atrocious calls against Creighton in the final seconds of the ball game. And then, unfortunately, one of their players bricked a free throw when they had a chance to go ahead and tie the game. Bricked the first one, missed the second. And this was after UConn had taken the lead on a completely bogus foul call at the other end of the court. That was ugly. All right, we're going to get into the trivia challenge. We have a lot of things to talk about here on the program. The biggest problem, that we have is whether or not people will embrace Major League Baseball at all. That's Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. Yet the biggest problem in New York right now, who's going to start opening day, Scherzer or Verlander? What do you say about that, Lubie? Scherzer, it's got to be Scherzer, right? Because he's been with the team longer.
You brought him Verlander, and he is the reigning AL Cy Young winner, but really good for you last year. He's still there. You gave him all that money. Like, you're not going to get
Is that a good problem to have, or are both guys at 40 about to, have their arm fall off like Dave Dravecky?
It's a good problem to have now. I mean, I don't know if you're getting 2 to 3 years out of the guys.
We'll see what happens. All right, here's a guy that looks younger than, it defies Father Time when it comes to appearance, and that would be one Dave
just like who?
Gurggles Gergely. Happy birthday, Dave. Happy birthday, my friend.
Happy birthday.
Is this a milestone? I mean, are we going to Vegas? What are we doing?
No, I've caught up to you. temporarily.
Oh yeah, no, really? I thought. Wow, I thought you were a little bit younger than certainly the Polyman and me, because you certainly you
6
look the part.
months, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Wow. How does it feel? You all right? You look good.
Yeah, no complaints. No complaints.
It's just kind of when you get into your 70s, it's kind of like being in a Papillon movie, where you just stick your head out of the door in the morning and you turn to the guy next to you and go, "How do I look?" He goes, "You look great, even though you look like shit." Teeth are falling out, everything's going wrong. All right, you look good. How did you celebrate, Gurggles? I mean, you do a lot of low key celebrations, but what was the order of business on your birthday?
I worked in the morning and went on the couch in the afternoon and watched the Eagles game. And that's it.
Oh, that was Sunday. Okay,
they were,
Super Bowl Sunday. What did you think of that?
they were simply outcoached. That's all. That's the only explanation I have. They were outcoached. The second half, they made the adjustments. People forget on that holding call, even if they don't call it, they still can kick a field goal and take the lead.
Yes.
Sure. I just don't understand the griping there. It's just they were outcoached completely, and yet both the coordinators from the Eagles got head coaching jobs now, right?
Yeah, and they passed over Bieniemy.
Interviews.
Didn't even get a sniff, man. I don't think you can get a job as a dog catcher.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Joplin, I mean, you can't do anything.
NBA All-Star game now is going the way of, I guess, the NFL Pro Bowl. They're going to play with a Nerf ball, and they have to play a 2-1-2 zone. So I don't know if that's going to be exciting or not.
Who does the math on this, though? I mean, we were just calculating this. The Nets are 59 games into an 82-game season, so three-quarters of the way through. The Heat are 60 games into an 82-game season, three-quarters of the way through. And the All-Star game is like a couple of days from now. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, what the heck were they thinking when they put that thing? You're assuming it's going to be somewhere around the middle of the season.
Yeah, it's usually in the 40s.
Would be great. How did I mean, I know you're a big Eagles fan. Did you have any money on the Eagles in this game or preseason or anything?
No. But if you remember, if you pull up the tape from last week's show, I gave you one prop to bet.
Right.
It was minus 300 for a quarterback kneel down, or plus 180 if it was not a quarterback kneel down to end the game. And I said somebody would be behind, take the plus 180. And that's the only. I didn't make a bet. I had squares, which of course were lousy numbers like always. But
that's the other thing.
Especially I don't bet.
Everybody started screaming that they got fucked on the squares thing, right? Nah. My neighbor Rory, he says, "This Butker missed a field goal. Can you believe he doinked that thing?" And that cost him, I guess, $5,000 in one of these box games.
Wow!
I know he needed those 3 points. Now another friend of ours, the Godfather, had a guy that had bet that there would be a kick that hit the crossbar in the game.
Oh wow!
And I believe that was a 50-1 proposition bet that a kick that the first kick would hit the crossbar. And he cashed on that, and he had like $100 on it. Got back $5,000.
Good for him. Good for him. Yeah.
My prop bets would have gone up in smoke immediately, every single one of them, because Kansas City didn't get the ball first. They win the coin toss and defer, which I think is obnoxious, especially since I was going to bet two of their receivers to make the first catch of the game. But it looked very promising. There were still some chalk outlines outside of the various sports books in Atlantic City, Gurggles. All with Eagle fans doing the spread the wings thing on the ground. It was pure and unadulterated ugliness going on there. All right, we're going to get into the trivia challenge here, and later on, Grant Long's going to talk buckets with us here on the show. As it's a little difficult to sort out who exactly emerged as the top contenders after all of these transactions took place. There was some pretty significant stuff going on, a lot of changes. On rosters of NBA teams. So we'll get into that with Grant Long. You can dial us up if you want to play the trivia challenge, 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. You know what I'm excited about, Gurggles? It's only a week and a day away from boxing. Now, Lubie can't make it down there. It turns out he's going to be out of the country. I think he's going to be in Guam trying to cash a check. And
good for you.
I'm not going to Guam.
I'm hoping you can head down there, Gurggles, because I'm planning on being there. I need to get a little dose of live boxing in Hialeah.
I love it, but I'm not sure of my status because I can't make the show next Thursday. I've got a group from Youngstown, Ohio for their 48th year, and one
Boom
from
Boom Mancini coming in. Boom Boom
year.
Mancini.
No. The Chavone group and the Frazier group are coming here, and I'll be loaded next week with golfers. So, and Friday's one of the days too. So We'll wait and see.
That's not my man Tyrone Chabon. Oh, he's from Philadelphia,
No.
because he was a longtime proprietor and general manager of the Parrot Lounge, which would have been a good place for you to catch the Philadelphia Eagles game. That place had to be devastated after the ball game
you're
on
not
Sunday.
kidding.
My God, the Parrot.
That Parrot Lounge, when I came down here on spring break from Rider College in 71, 72,
Red hot.
Parrot Lounge was 7 beers for $1 and 6 chicken wings for $1.
I was just thinking that in relation to this new story that's out there where like a kid loses a tooth and you got to put like a 20 under his pillow. What? Sounds like something that would have happened with the Polyman, in that era. But I'm pretty sure it was like 5 cents, and maybe, it had gone to a quarter by the time my, baby teeth had fallen
I got like $1. We're very far apart in age, and I got like $1.
Now it's a 20, man.
Wow.
The kid looks at you. He looks like Leon Spinks and says, hey, Dad, what the fuck? And as a father, you shoot back, hey, Ovechkin, keep your mouth shut, man. You're getting 10 and that's it.
Well, if that's the case, Paulie's due about $400.
Well, he was always concerned about the appearance of his teeth, even though, he unfortunately, didn't do anything to salvage him at the time that was most important. All right, Hialeah Park. I mean, you know what? Whether you have teeth or not, man, it's a great place to go to gamble. That's for sure. Tremendous casino, Las Vegas style, casino, and all your favorite Vegas style games. And people are winning there, Gurggles. I know there was a lady on a plane said she took down 13 grand, but it had to be a very quiet lady because I didn't hear too much yelling and screaming.
Wow.
In a casino. You like to hear people are in action, and that's what happens at Hialeah Park, right? There's some, woman whooping and hollering over there. Some other guy just hit something over there. They're saying, call attendant over here. Two greatest words that you can ever hear in casino vernacular, call attendant. And it's not to get your 100 back out of the machine. It's because you're getting like a $3 grand payoff or something like that. So the games are hopping there, all of the Vegas style games. Poker Room is fantastic. And Champion Simulcasting, we love that. So this would be a great thing. Spend Friday there punching away on the ponies. And then hang out, have a nice dinner at one of the restaurants there, whether it's Junior's Bistro or any of the other fine places that they feature at Hialeah Park. And then go to the fights, right? Fight night. That was always my favorite doubleheader, to go to like Hollywood Park in the afternoon and then catch fights at the Olympic Auditorium at a Forum later on that day. What was always great. And Aqueduct to Madison Square Garden was a good one. Belmont to Madison Square for boxing and horse racing same day. So you can do this at Hialeah Park a week from tomorrow. And limited tickets still available. I think they're going fast because everybody knows how great the trip is out there. Guillermo Rigondeaux are going to be in the main event, and a fine roster and a card filled with interesting prospects and accomplished guys as well. So that's happening. You can order your tickets online, hialeahpark.com. Go to the box office, or I don't know what the odds are of just showing up at the event and getting in. But, I would imagine they'll make some accommodations for people that said, I forgot all about it. And it come down there. Or if you happen to be there, it's even more amazing, to be able to get live professional boxing at this level. I can assure you the card there will be a lot sharper than that Ladislaw Mijangos Hercules Mike Weaver card I called at Casino Magic in 94, which was loaded with lopsided bouts. They're very competitive. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hialeah Park, just check it out at hialeahpark.com. And you'll be not only on your way maybe to the races, but to live professional boxing a week from tomorrow night. We're going to come back with the trivia challenge. Dave Gurggles Gergely going to be the master of ceremonies on that. Always very difficult, degree of difficulty high on the questions, but still a lot of fun. Always looking for new blood. 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 on the phone lines. Mike Lubie Lubit's going to be handling your calls. Gurggles on the questions. I'm going to be sitting here enjoying the ride, and we'll be back with all that. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:45. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now a mile and an 8. The finish line is coming up quick. Panichi, just switch it.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, you all right there, Gurggles? Everything okay?
Yeah, oh yeah, fine.
The little phlegm thing working.
Early
there.
morning coffee always gets me. Yep.
All right, welcome back to the show. Do you use cream in coffee? Could that be the thing that's clogging the system?
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be. All right. Anyway, we hope you're okay. I mean, once you get to be like, you're now among the geezers at Caesars here, having hit, the ripe old age of 71. All right. Getting ready for the trivia challenge. You can dial us up 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070 if you want to play the game. And Dave's going to be doling out the questions here. Always very, very, you really have to have a wide range of knowledge to be able to get through this. And yet, we had the Chronic there in a series where he was either sweeping or on the precipice of a sweep for a number of weeks in a row. So let's get right into it. And we do it in the traditional fashion. You just heard from this man with brilliant baritone voice there, singing the praises of Solo Volante, who still... You need a search warrant to find Solo Volante in that Belmont. Is the 6 still running? Yeah, I think it is. It was nowhere to be seen. But we'll begin in the traditional fashion, paying homage to the man that he really kind of came up with the goods on this game. And was just a hugely popular figure here on the Trivia Challenge for many, many years. And hopefully, I think he has vowed to return, Gurggles. I'm not sure in what form, but he's vowed to return. We'll pay homage to the Polyman and start the game with some
easy baseball. This baseball announcer, known for his malaprops on Bobby and Barry Bonds becoming the all-time father and son home run tandem, said, "Wow, Bobby and Barry Bonds will pass the father and son tandem of Buddy Bell and Yogi Berra." What's that? None other than Ralph Kiner, Ralph Cramden, Ed Norton, or Ed Charles.
At what point did Kiner officially lose it? Was it from the very beginning of his announcing career? I'm not
probably
sure if he wasn't coherent at one point in time. All right, here's a scrambler. And, the aforementioned perennial longtime champion and all-time champion of the world here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, Lenny, the Fabled Chronic. Lenny, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning, fellas. Happy birthday, Gurggles.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Lenny. And don't forget... If you win, they're changing it. You will get a gift certificate to Lenny Lubbers. It's no longer Landlubbers. It's Lenny Lubbers.
And
Lubie Lubbers.
Yeah, there you go.
Lenny's first comment was, if unfortunately the feds are ever wiretapping any of the phones that you're on, and you've just mentioned the thing that would totally exonerate you from any guilt in the case and immediately have them drop the charges. That's always listed as inaudible on the transcripts, which we just featured there, a little inaudible comment from Lenny the Chronic. All right, here we go. 1 point going for 2.
All right, football, Lenny, true or false? Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs, in an interview recently, said he did not eat his usual celebratory post-game cheeseburger. Instead, in honor of the Chiefs, he opted for Kansas City barbecue. True or false?
I think that's false.
I'm going to say false.
It is false.
It is false.
Actually, he had a pizza with mushroom and a salad. Very good.
Yeah, he said pizza and salad.
Somebody, I think Terry Bradshaw suggested that he have a salad.
Well, he made
during the interview.
That comment.
He stopped just short of calling him a beached whale. I mean, it was unbelievable. A fat tub of goo. Very insulting in a postgame. All right, 2 for 2, Lenny, going for 5.
That was weird.
All right, Lenny, NFL football. Quarterback Chad Henne, who just retired, was drafted in 2008 by the Miami Dolphins. He was the 4th quarterback taken in that draft. Which of the following quarterbacks was not taken ahead of Chad Henne in that draft? Was not.
Our
Matt
sound
Ryan,
sinking
Joe,
is much like the Super Bowl broadcast was.
Right.
You're
All
waiting
right,
for Bruce Lee
Matt
to
Ryan,
come out of the woodwork. Yeah.
Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Brian Brom, or Kevin O'Connell?
Oh, what a list of shitbag quarterbacks there.
Can you repeat them? Can you repeat that?
Yeah. These were pick the one that was not taken ahead of Chad Henne. That is Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, Brian Brom, or Kevin O'Connell.
I guess Flacco and Ryan.
Brian Brom.
No. Brian Brom was taken 56th by the Packers, Henne 57th by the Dolphins, and after that, Kevin O'Connell for the Patriots.
Yeah, O'Connell.
Very good.
Now the head coach of the Vikings.
Oh, Lenny, surprised you missed that one. Going for 7 points here. My friend.
Right.
That was actually decently easy.
All right, Lenny, hockey. Only 2 players have successfully made 2 penalty shots in the same game.
Interesting.
Austin Matthews and who? Eric Cole, Red Berenson, Max Pacioretty, or Gary Dornhofer?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know any of these people.
Let's go with old school Red Berenson.
That's going to be my guess.
That's a great guess. Believe it or not, 2014 Vancouver, Max Pacioretty made 2 penalty shots in the same game.
Nice try, Lenny, man. We appreciate it.
Tough call. Tough draw there for Lenny.
Come on down.
All right. Yeah, be at
Who you,
Landlubber
Bob
side.
Barker?
Come on down, exactly.
Very nice. All right, Lenny bails, bombs out actually, and ends up with a total not worthy of being in the finals, which I would imagine the way the Scrambler has been a little bit out of sorts lately with regard to Lenny, probably would eliminate him completely from the competition. So perennial champion being denied. It's like the World Boxing Council just dropped him to number 2. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070 if you would like to play the game. Gurggles, tell us a little bit about Perdomo Cigars while we have the time.
Yeah, that's another great thing. At the boxing match, since it's outside at Hialeah on the finish line there, you can enjoy a great Perdomo cigar, and it'd just be like being at Madison Square Garden in the 60s. So that's February 24th. Go to Perdomo in advance, get a cigar, get a couple cigars, get a box, and enjoy a great Perdomo cigar while you're at the fights at Hialeah like I did at the Maldives. And you don't have to go all the way across to the Indian Ocean to enjoy a Perdomo cigar. You can go right to 5150 Northwest 167th Street on the Palmetto on the south side, just a little bit east of the Home Depot. The big Perdomo cigar sign is in there. Pretty soon, Nick will be a second-time grandfather with his lovely daughter-in-law, Lauren, expecting any day now. But I enjoy a great Edition de Silvio or the nice, smooth Lot 23. They make them perfect one at a time. 305-627-6700, the number to call, and 5150 Northwest 167th Street, the place to go. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Maybe you want one on the weekend? Not a problem. Any tobacconist worth their salt would have them. Go online, www.perdomocigars.com, to find the retailer near you that sells these great cigars. Last week, I gave you a winning prop. This week, I'm going to give you a Perdomo Horse of the Day for Saturday, depending. It's got to be on the turf at the fairgrounds. And this is a former Perdomo cigar horse that won a big race. He's in a 1/8 on the turf on this out of the 6th hole with Luis Saez for Michael Stidham. Pixelate is this Perdomo cigar for this Saturday at the fairgrounds, which has a huge card for the 3-year-old upcoming prep races. So when Pixelate crossed the line first, you can't go wrong with a cigar from Perdomo Cigars.
Even though I enjoyed it immensely, it was slim pickings, the Monday and Tuesday cards that were available. Book out a race book. And you get the form, and it says Parks, Mahoning Valley, Turf Paradise. And you're thinking, I feel like I just died and went to heaven. I mean, even though I'm horrible at all 3 of those tracks. All right, let's get back into the game here. Lenny bombs out, so that leaves it wide open, even more so than ever. And as we said, we welcome new players here to the show at 954-417-0070. Don't be reluctant. I mean, I know you're going in there again, Ben. It's like the heyday of the heavyweight division, the way this thing has worked out for the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. But, get involved here. Take a shot.
Multiple choice. It's a lot easier than our trivia. It's all multiple choice.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's like taking the SATs, man. Just put D's down for everything and, hope that you cop a score that's somewhere over 200. What is it? Is 400 the minimum? I think, 400 was the minimum you could get. So you knew we were in for 400. That's fine. It's like a credit score for most of our listeners and me. All right, here we go. Dave, our next set of questions.
Boxing.
Can you get a 400 credit score? How low does it go? A 400 credit score?
Oh, I don't know credit. Yeah. That part I don't. You'd have to ask Paul. Right. You'd have to ask Paulie. Boxing. This trainer and fight promoter on a high-profile fighter once said, some people say George Foreman is fit as a fiddle. I think he looks more like a cello. Was it Lou Duva, Lou Costello, Elvis Costello, or Elvis Peacock?
Here is the random phone scrambler to select our next player. Oh, look at that. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, A.
A is right on the money. You have 1 point. You're in the game.
All right, Mike, back to the Super Bowl. One of the props that cashed in was called the octopus prop at plus 1,400. And what that involved was some player scoring a 6-point touchdown and the same player making a 2-point conversion after that touchdown. And Jalen Hurts did it. It was called the octopus prop at plus 1,400.
Oh, wow.
True or false?
That's interesting.
I'll go with true.
I'll say completely false. True?
It is true. It is true. Yeah. Octopus for eight tentacles. Yep.
How do you call it out, man? You go to the window and go, give me the octopus.
Well, it's the numbers. Number 275.
And they point to Moderano. So they're saying, they do it really well there. Have it as an appetizer and make sure it's your whole meal because it's going to be pretty pricey. All right. Very good. 2 for 2, right, Mike? That's excellent. Going for 5 points.
Yeah.
All right. Baseball. From 1960 through 1990, only one pitcher tossed 3 one-hitters in the same season.
Wow.
Who was that pitcher?
60 to 90.
Juan Marichal, Dave Stieb, Nolan Ryan, or Jack Morris?
3 one-hitters in one season.
Yep.
That seems pretty easy.
I'll go Marichal.
Big Juan.
It's not.
No. He threw one his first time up. Dave Stieb for the Toronto Blue Jays in 1988. Yeah.
Would have been my last consideration on that question there. Well, you had me.
One-hitters.
All right, Mike, looking for 6 points to set the pace, my friend.
All right, another leftover Super Bowl question for you, Mike. In Super Bowl 37, the Buccaneers picked off Rich Gannon a record 5 times in their 48-21 victory. How many of those interceptions were returned for touchdowns? 1, right. 2, 3, or 4?
Let's go 2.
Those. 3.
3 of them returned for touchdowns.
You're off to a rough start.
Gurggles, I mean, you're hammering these guys with these questions today. 71 years old and sharper than ever. A special hello to the, probably the top socialite in all of South Florida, and certainly the queen of Broward County, the lovely Beth Bernstein. tuned into the
Yes.
program today. Hey, Beth, how are you?
Oh,
Always good to
wow.
have you tuned in.
Yes.
Beth Bernstein on the
I
channel.
saw it. I saw it. Christine Lee's after one of the Gulfstream races. Looks great as ever.
She should
A
definitely,
beautiful young lady.
write a guide to how to live like the ultimate life, where there's nowhere that she isn't involved. I'm surprised she didn't flip the coin at the Super Bowl, right? All of a sudden, or do the anthem. Chris Stapleton will not be performing today. Here's Beth Bernstein, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, how did she
Maybe
do
we
it?
could have got her to do the over. Yeah, I would. I'll make this prediction. I think she would be the perfect replacement for Giselle for Tom Brady. Why not?
Could be. You know what, though? I heard DiCaprio was breaking his tradition and was interested, even though she would be a slightly older woman.
Wow.
Well, by his standards, any woman is older than 16. Is that DiCaprio's favorite song? She was only 16. You know what I mean? The parents must be particularly upset, even though DiCaprio's got a lot of bread. But no, Beth's everywhere. It's incredible, right? You'll see, like DiCaprio's yacht is sitting off St. Bart's somewhere, and they're diving into the water. Is Beth Bernstein coming in, with a snorkel and a spear gun and, catching a lobster for dinner. Unbelievable. All right. Thank you for tuning in, Beth. It's great to have you on board on the show. Now we have room for more players, and we'll play a couple more before we go to the finals. We have nobody with a total worthy of being in the finals just yet, so you can dial us up. 954-417-0070, 954-417-0070. Dave Gurggles Gergely with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you, of course, by the great people at Hialeah Park. El Boxeo is on for a week from tomorrow. Can't wait. Time is going by. It's just flying by. Have you noticed this, Gurggles, that obviously time is still the same, but does it seem like it's just blowing by quicker than ever as, you get closer and closer towards the 16th pole of life?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it seems like yesterday, and you may have gone through it too, where you were wondering when you're in your 20s or 30s or even earlier, saying, "I wonder how old I'll be in the year 2000." And now
I was going to be 49.
It's come and gone.
Yeah.
I was 48.
I remember.
I
was in Vegas in 2000, and I think I want to go to Vegas every year for my birthday from now on. I left. That's why Beth should write the book. I don't know how she does it. I mean, you'll say, "Hey, I was thinking about going to Vegas for my birthday." She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm already booked at Red Rock Canyon. I'm having a spa, with Steve Wynn." Like what? How do you do it? How do you do it? All right, coming back with more in a moment here on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Now that. Well, don't forget Grant Long coming up on baskets later on. It's 8:04.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
You know what I'm gonna do, because you don't ever give me a fair shake. You know that? So I'm gonna let you talk to Victor Ortiz, all right? I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know about boxing. You ain't you got
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on next. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
I believe Merchant is still with us. Is he not? Didn't you check that out a while ago, Lubie? Larry Merchant, still alive? Dead or alive? Larry Merchant.
Anymore. He's alive. He's alive.
He's alive? Okay. We do have to pay homage to the lovely Raquel Welch. who checked out yesterday at 82 and still looked dynamite. I mean, she still could have done like Barbarella or one of those movies. That was Fonda, right? What was she was in one of those Conan.
She was in
type
2000
of movies.
BC or something. Yeah, 2000 BC. Yeah, and I think 100 Rifles with Jim Brown too. I think.
So she would have been in her 30s. I did wait on her at that Moroccan restaurant I worked at in L.A., which was mostly the clientele was mostly movie stars and big time executives there, and you would get some schleppers from Pomona coming in there going, well, I heard about this restaurant. But mostly it was celebrity. And she was extremely nice, actually. I remember serving her dinner at the table. She was there with what looked like some real power brokers, and couldn't have been any nicer. It was, extremely down to earth for somebody that you would have thought was just unapproachable. So may she rest in peace, Raquel Welch. They're dropping like flies, Gurggles. 82, too close to this number that we're at also. I mean, that's only 11 years down the road, my friend.
This year, I know we lost Kirstie Alley. And last night, I was watching the reruns of the match game from 1974, and she was a contestant on the match game with Gene Rayburn. Yeah. But every day's a gift, my friend.
You should be hosting The Price is Right, man. This Drew Carey is an abortion. I mean, really. How you didn't get that job and they put this guy. I know he was, maybe a bigger name, but wow, did they miss out on something here? You would have been the ultimate coming to the host of Price is Right. All right, here we go. Back into the game. Speaking of, at least we have a game to host. And Gurggles perfectly cast in this role. So we'll get right back into it, decide a champion. Grant Long going to join us about 8:35 this morning. Talk Lubie's favorite topic, I think, is NBA. Is it not? I mean, that one year that you were obsessed with possible free agent signings in the NBA, I forget, it was a few years back, and you couldn't stop talking about it. It was just unbelievable, and none of it happened. Everybody stayed with the team that they were with and worked things out, and they existed at least for the next half hour in perfect harmonious bliss. How long after Durant signs, I guess his contract just goes over to Phoenix, but if he had to sign, how long before he starts complaining? What do you think?
Oh, God, a month.
Something about the chemistry. All right, here we go. Dave, our next set of questions.
Golf. This comedian on bad weather on the golf course said, if I'm on a golf course and lightning starts, I get inside fast because if God wants to play through, I'm going to let him. What's that? Bob Hope, Myron Cope, Edwin Pope, or Annie Lope?
Sounds like something Lee Trevino might have come up with. All right, here's the random phone scrambler. Select our next player, and it lands on Ron. So a lot of regulars, getting in on a show here. We would like to invite some new players at 954-417-0070. Don't stay in the fetal position, curled up in the corner your whole life. Come on out and play the trivia challenge. All right, Ron, welcome to the show. Good to have you on, my friend.
Hey, guys. Let's go with A.
Good morning, Ron.
He's right on the money. Everybody's correct so far on that first one.
All right, baseball, Ron. Let's take you back to pitcher Turk Wendell. He was a little bit eccentric. Believe it or not, he used to brush his teeth every inning. True or false?
Let's go true.
I believe that to be true.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, are you kidding?
It is true. Yeah.
What was that thing he had around his neck? He had like
shark teeth,
some moose horn or something, a shark's tooth. I don't know. Very exciting player. And the Mets fans, I mean, they are euphoric. They think that they're cinched to win the championship this year, at least according to the narratives in the New York Post. All right, 2 for 2, going for 5.
Hi, Ron. Who was the first player in NBA history to record a quadruple double?
Quadruple double.
What's that?
Ooh.
Will Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Akeem Olajuwon, or Nate Thurman?
Oh,
interesting.
That's tough then.
Oh, boy. Let's go Nate Thurman.
I'm going to go Nate Thurman.
Oh,
yes.
I was going to say Akeem.
What do you have, like 10 blocks or something?
Yeah. I don't know the exact, but he had a quadruple double. Very impressive.
Unbelievable. All right,
Pretty
Ron,
good defensive
speaking of
player.
impressive,
Yeah.
here's a guy sitting on a sweep, my friend.
All right, Ron. Good luck. AFL. Let's go way back to the AFL. In 1963, there were 3 different MVPs in the AFL, one each selected by UPI, AP, and the Sporting News. Which of the following was not one of those 3 MVP selections in 63? Lance Allworth, Tobin Rote, Clem Daniels, or Abner Haynes?
boy. Let's go. Lance Allworth.
Lance. There
No,
he was.
Lance Allworth was selected by the UPI. Tom Tobin wrote by the AP, and Clem Daniels by the Sporting News. Abner Haynes was not. And by the way, this question dispels one of the trivia questions people give me all the time. They say in '63, all the MVPs wore the number 32. It was Elston Howard, Sandy Koufax, Jim Brown, but Clem Daniels wore 33, not 32. So for all you people
do you
out
go
there,
back and collect off those guys, or they just continue to insist that they were right?
just correct them. I like to correct them and tell them they're morons. Okay.
All right, Dallas up if you want to play. We'll get another one in before we go to the finals. Ron, that was the 5-pointer, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so he wiped out there in the end. All right, and I hope we didn't jolt Ron. For some reason, I'm spacing out here, thinking we only got to the 3-point question, but no, we got to the.
He got 3 right in a row.
No, he got the Nate.
He had 5. Okay,
he got 5 points.
That's right.
Yeah, he got 5. He got the Nate Thurman question.
I'm just back from Atlantic City. I didn't get a lot of sleep. All right, so Ron has 5. He's in the lead. He jumped out there to the top of the chart. And we'll play one more before we go to the finals. Grant Long coming up about 8:35. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge featuring the great Dave Gurggles Gergely. We do this every Thursday from about 7:30 till whenever we finish the game. And so we'll get right back into it. Here's Dave, our next set of questions.
Okay. And let's give you a
Is it time we brought in an official score, Gurggles? What do you think? We put up another box over there. And we have like one of those rules experts in the NFL. Where they go, okay, let's go to Mike Pereira. Mike, what did you see there? Well, I didn't see nothing.
You can put the scores.
It's great. Let's go to Tim Donaghy and get an interpretation of the rules here. Yeah. Beautiful.
All right, college hoops. This Washington State basketball coach on his struggling team said, well, we're not having a good year, but the fans never fall asleep at our games because they're afraid he might get hit by a pass by one of our players. What's that? George Raveling, George Burns, George Fenneman, or George Foreman?
Fenneman, man. I love when you work Fenneman into the program here. Let's roll the scrambler, and it lands on, and I'm hoping this man is in good health. And it's the Andy man up next here on the program. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. I think it's A. I'm noticing a pattern.
Trend handicapper that you are, you have
this
one
guy's
point.
Sharp.
Yeah,
he's sharp.
You see a sea of red on the roulette wheel, you're naturally plunging on black.
Here we go.
Tennis, Andy, true or false? Believe it or not, the original tennis tournament, Wimbledon, was held as a fundraiser to get a lawn roller for their croquet players. True or false?
Yeah, I think I heard that one. So I'm going to go with true.
Sounds true. It is true.
It is true. That's true. You got it.
Can you see that? Yeah, favoring croquet over tennis there. The British have some strange priorities, do they not?
Yes, they do.
Including the royal family still being empowered there and so well respected. All right, 2 for 2, going for 5.
All right, back to the NBA, Andy. We talked about a quadruple double. Now we want to know who was the oldest player to record a triple double in an NBA game. The oldest player: Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Vince Carter, Karl Malone, or Dirk Nowitzki?
I don't know, but Wilt Chamberlain did a quintuple double every night. He had 50 points, 25 rebounds, 12 assists.
Now.
11 wins. All right, I'll go with what were the choices? I was too busy doing my shit.
Sure. That's no problem. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Vince Carter, Karl Malone, or Dirk Nowitzki?
Go Carter.
Vince.
No,
he was in the league forever, though.
But he wasn't.
It was the mailman, Karl Malone, 40 years and 127 days.
Sending it in, man, with the triple-double there, and taking advantage of all of those John Stockton passes. All right, going for 7 points here, Andy. This puts you in the finals.
All right, Andy, let's switch to college hoops. Which of the following teams set the dubious college basketball record, scoring just 4 points in the first half of a game? Was that Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan, or Southern Illinois?
I know in Northern Illinois.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
Eastern Michigan held them to 4 points in the first half. Well done.
Is he getting that at
I
all?
remember that because I had the over in that game.
Of course. Hold on.
Did the sideline reporter ask the Northern Illinois coach about what adjustments they might make at halftime? Like, stop shooting the ball like it was a beach ball. Unbelievable. All right, we're going to match these guys up in the finals. Ron and Andy, our last two players, came through like champs. Grant Long's going to join us about 8:35. Gurggles, another word while Lubie assembles the finals about, world-renowned Perdomo cigars.
You betcha. And it's such a pleasure to have Beth Bernstein on the line. She is the ultimate queen, as you say, or socialite. Always great pictures with that terrific smile. Only thing she's missing is holding a Perdomo cigar in her right hand while she does that.
Yeah.
Perdomo cigars are non-gender specific. Men, women, anybody who wants one. There's me at the Maldives enjoying an ice cold beer and a Perdomo cigar. You can enjoy a Perdomo cigar in your backyard, on your boat, out at Hialeah while you're watching the boxing match on the 24th. And you can get them at 5150 Northwest 167th Street off the Palmetto on the south side, just a little bit east of the Home Depot, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You're not sure? Call ahead, 305-627-6700, the number to call. And you want to get them on a weekend? Perdomo's not open. It's a family business, but any tobacco shop will have great Perdomo cigars. If you're unsure, go online, www.perdomocigars.com. And don't forget the 11th race this Saturday on the turf, though. Watched off. I wouldn't bet it. Number 6, Pixelate with Luis Saez, the Perdomo Cigar of the Week.
Yeah, you'll be lighting up a couple of Perdomo cigars if Pixelate crosses the wire first. Did we lose Mike Lubitz? There he is. Okay, very good there. That picture of Gurggles in total tranquility in the Maldives.
I just like the picture.
And knowing that not only did he have like a hot babe with him, but she was paying her own way. I mean,
oh, yeah.
They're going
down
Dutch to the Maldives. Dutch.
That's great.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, we're ready for the finals here. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on this fine February 16th edition. And we have Ron versus Andy, two powerhouse players and longtime perennial contenders in the game. You guys both know how it works for the uninitiated, in case you want to play in the future. Dave's going to fire off a question. Call out your name if you'd like to answer right away. If nobody answers right away, we'll offer multiple choice. And the first person to call out his name gets first choice. We go back and forth until we have a winner. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. The fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the ref or the doctor can stop the fight. And after 4 rounds, if there should be an accidental headbutt or a premature end to the fight, after 4 rounds, we go to the scorecards. All right, so here we go. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge Championship on this fine Thursday.
And by the way, both you guys are starting on second base for this question. Go.
Yes, and it's a bigger base.
Open.
What was the purpose of the bigger base?
Easier to steal.
Oh, easier to steal. Okay. I would think it would be more difficult because it's harder to fit in your pocket.
Okay. Golf. This week's Genesis Open was originally the Los Angeles Open and was the debut of professional golf for which of the following Hall of Famers?
All right.
Arnold Palmer, Sam Snead, Byron Nelson, or Jack Nicklaus. So way back when it was known as the LA Open, it was the first tournament one of those players played in.
Ron, already in there.
Ron, go ahead.
What do you got, Ron?
Jack Nicklaus.
Big Jack. Yes.
Bingo. That's it.
You knew it, man. Wow,
well done, Ron.
I'll have your GC.
The winner, and there'll be a gift certificate exchange tonight, I would imagine, at Landlubbers, because Ron's going to be part of the Chronics, the powerhouse team there. Who, Lubie, you said they got touched up a little bit last week. Was that what you told me?
They were touched up until last week when they won. They were struggling the week, a couple weeks prior, and they were back in the winner's circle last night. The Chronics are defending champions.
Maybe I will show up tonight then to help them go back to
sabotage these guys.
Please.
What demonic line of questioning will the professor have for tonight then? If the Chronics tries to prevent their winning streak and stop it at 1. All right. Anyway, good luck, guys. And that's all happening with Lubie as the master of ceremonies at Landlubbers tonight. That's in Plantation, right?
Yep.
It's officially the city of Plantation and Pine Island and Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Oh, and Nob Hill. Sunrise and Nob Hill.
Oh, you had it right. Don't
Pine Island. Pine Island.
Sunrise Boulevard.
Pine Island and Sunrise.
In Plantation, right next to Sunrise.
Easy to find, right?
Like Plantation, Sunrise.
Cheeseburger special tonight. Great peel and eat shrimp. Cold Guinness. TVG is on the TVs if you get there early. It's a great place to go with terrific food. The food is much better than the questions. But
well, was that also the same kind of area, strip mall, I guess, if you want to call it that housed the restaurant that Polyman what was advertising on the show that where the guy played the accordion? No,
that was Bogart's.
Oh,
that
Bogart's.
was Bogart's.
Yeah,
right?
that was great.
And that was Sheridan and another cross street.
Okay.
But no.
Polyman was always big in that Hollywood area of Sheridan Street. He ruled that whole area for a long period of time. They got a lot of connections there. It was great. Dave, we love you, man. What do you got on tap?
See you in 2 weeks. I got groups coming. I've got all kinds of meetings. The golf is very, very busy right now. So in 2 weeks, I'll be back with you guys. Lubie, have a safe trip. Where are you going?
I'm just going to Atlanta next weekend. I don't know what Defo's talking about.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I would recommend
all over the planet
trying to find a street or a location that says Peachtree on it. I don't think there's many up there.
They don't have any.
Everything's named Peachtree up there.
I know.
And everybody lives in Buckhead.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, very good. Dave Gurggles Gergely, ladies and gentlemen. A fine job, as always. Brought to you by Hialeah Park and Perdomo Cigars. The Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge for this week is in the books. And congratulations to Ron.
It was Beth playing. Beth Bernstein, we'd love to have. Jim's trying to give me crap about having women involved. I'm not against having women involved. They choose to not be involved. I'd love to have more women involved in our show.
She might be the only one. No, she's not. We have Joanne. We have the green-eyed girl.
We've had.
I think there's some crossover now to this show from the Mike.
Oh, you weren't here. Oh my God, you missed it. So the professor, and you've been proud. It was the tamest professor we've ever had on any of our shows.
Oh wow!
He hadn't said anything bad. Like he didn't even push the envelope. We talked about. It was the anniversary of Stoneman Douglas.
Mayo didn't realize the inherent danger,
He was on his best
especially with his parameters and guidelines. He
was on his best behavior. He was actually just being, he's very, he's a bright guy.
Right.
So he's very erudite and he's very.
No, he knows what to do. I mean, he's done terrestrial radio.
We talked about food, but we talked about gun control, and he's a guy that's hunted his whole life, so he has a really interesting perspective compared to us. But he's sensible about it. And he hadn't said anything really rough. He hadn't really done a professor yet.
Yeah.
And Joanna in the chat was like,
who is this guy? He's an outrage.
No, she said, I'm disgusted by this man. I'm repulsed. She says, I'm repulsed.
Repulsed. Wow.
Yes. I'm like, why? Then you definitely don't want to watch the big boy.
Repulsed is strong, right? I find you repulsive. I mean, what do you say?
No.
Hey, thanks, man. I find you quite attractive also.
Yeah, exactly. Even Ken was like, Jesus, repulsed.
Yeah, repulsed. I'm not sure Joanne completely understands where we're coming from, and we're you're always hoping if you can just change one mind, right? If you can just help one person, and not that she needs help. She has her own opinion, and we're certainly respectful of that. But, some of the stuff, like the thing about the Asian dealer, that was not, I mean, Mayo even flipped out, but Mayo has a tendency to snap. Yeah, I love when he does that thing, where he, it's great. I love it, Mike.
Look, we're liberal and we're very open-minded.
Yeah.
Gambler says that there's a reason they bring in the Asian dealer. It's like on purpose.
I saw it while I was in Atlantic City. I didn't want to say anything at the time out loud, maybe get thrown out of the place for casting, racial aspersions, ethnic. I don't know. It's not even racial.
Yes, ethnic.
But it's also true that if you go by the Baccarat table, there will be an Asian gentleman that is sending in stacks of chips, the likes of which I hadn't seen since I saw Dennis Rodman playing craps in Las Vegas one year, and he was using chips, a color of which that even I did not know the denomination of. I mean, right? I mean, that like rarely do you see guys playing like yellow chips where, they're 1,000. These had to be like $10,000 chips that this guy was playing.
Jesus.
They were turquoise. I mean, they were a color I've never even seen being issued. They don't even have them in the rack at the table. They had to like bring like a special guy with a, a little, locked up box there. And they go, here, Mr. Rodman, here are your chips. And this guy was sending it in. But I mean, it's an observation. You happen to be an Asian guy, and every time you walk by a Baccarat table, anywhere that you see the game being played, there will be an Asian guy that is sending in stacks of money, and you're thinking, now the stereotypical thing would be, to say, no, this guy must own a bunch of laundromats, but it's not. It's not. he had to come up with some kind of technical device that a computer chip or something to have this kind of money to just send in banker or player in what I think is the most boring game I've ever seen in any casino. I don't get the fascination with it. I mean, does anybody get turned on by and they bend the cards and the whole thing and then they fire them at the dealer? But the cards are the same. It doesn't involve any particular skill. And you go 50-50, banker, player, banker, player. This guy was cashing though, man. They were shoveling stacks of $100 chips at this guy. I think it was like he was betting $2,000 a hand. I don't know. I've seen bigger bettors, but it was very, very impressive. And the other people, it wasn't like they were holding back. I mean, they're firing away with a couple of hundred. Based on what? I don't know. What is the object of the game? To get as close to 8 as you can? Or what, I don't even know, Baccarat. I watch it and I'm like, what are these guys doing here? I used to understand it a little bit better, but, I've sort of lost the whole concept because, frankly, casino table games where I used to just absolutely, go nuts. I couldn't resist being in action at all times. I now... Let me stick to my horses, a little video poker here and there mixed in. Hopefully you break even on that. Maybe you catch a jackpot. And, stick to what you know, right?
Yep.
Which at least I know how to monitor my losses and kind of control them in the horse book, right? You're stuck a couple of hundred. You can say, hey, let me step it up a little bit if I hit one exact amount. Whereas you can't necessarily do that with these table games in a casino. But good. People were having a good time with it. And the amount of people, I think about all the people, the schleppers, they were bussing in from New York, which that's a daily thing. They roll you into some like shithole hotel, like the Showboat or something. I don't even know. It might be extinct. And they give you $10 in free play. And it's kind of like going into the Circus in Las Vegas, Lubie, for the shrimp cocktail. You're thinking, this isn't enough of an enticement to get me to walk through this place, which I think... pretty sure was the building was designed by an oncologist because you're guaranteed to get cancer if you walk through the lobby of this place. You will never inhale such foul air as you do when you go to the lower end casinos. Especially there aren't as many of them. Because they all kind of got gobbled up there. I think Trump put them all out of business. Back in the days when he was stiffing the people that were speaking of laundry that were like bringing the sheets to the hotel, they never got paid. Yeah, all right, we're coming back with Grant Long, and he's always great about the NBA. A lot of transition in the NBA. I don't even know if I could keep track of half of it, Libby, because you had deals on top of deals, and the Lakers are different now. The Suns are different
the
now.
only one I don't know everyone is the Lakers. They made so many deals. I'm a little confused at what they
had picked up that Shug Hashimoto or whatever the guy's name is.
Rui Hachimura, but that was
Hachimura, yeah.
That was a week before. It was
Shug Fuchimoto or whatever. The gymnast that I'm always talking about, whose name escapes me every time I mention it.
He played at Gonzaga. I think he's American. He's Japanese but American. Speaks I think he's from here.
He's actually good. I've seen him a couple of times. I watched snippets of Laker basketball, and he's interspersed himself into the team and seems to be functioning very well. I mean, they haven't always had Davis and LeBron of late in there together. Somehow, I think they hang in there. Can they slip into the 8th spot in the West, the Lakers, and then it would be, I think, very dangerous for whoever the number 1 seed is. What do you think about that?
Well, they just need to get into the play-in, and then it's not like New Orleans is scary right now. Zion's Mr. Hurt. So
re-aggravated his hamstring injury. All right, we'll get into all of this with Grant Long. All of you NBA fanatics out there, and trying to it's tough to push the football away because it's always going to be central.
Well, the combine's in a week.
Yeah,
or 2 weeks,
which they want to eliminate. The players' union says it's a farce. Get rid of that. I mean, the interesting thing this year, and it really is, there's always something. There's always some storyline in the offseason and in just about any sport. But very significant this year is the quarterback carousel.
Yep, you have
even more so than the racist-laced coaching carousel, right? Where they only have white horses. They don't even have a black horse on the carousel. Remember, you always wanted to jump up on a black horse and be like Paladin. All right, and you have what? Derek Carr was released officially, he's an interesting prospect, I think, for a lot of teams. No,
yeah, the Jets. I mean, I think
got Jimmy G. Would you take a shot on Jimmy G, who seems like he's always getting hurt?
I can see the
Or
Bucks.
was he as you would say about Julian Edelman, a product of the system?
Yeah, he's a system dude. That's
Okay.
what I mean. Jimmy G is.
Nothing special. Carson Wentz, his star has diminished down to 0. But Aaron Rodgers also is in that mix when he gets back from this meditation thing that he's doing.
Well, then Lamar Jackson still hasn't gotten an extension, and I guess they're franchising him, but he's not happy with that.
Someone was speculating he gets traded on draft day to the Atlanta Falcons.
Out there because you could probably get him for a nice haul, and
yeah,
Ravens are like we've talked about it. How good are the Ravens even with him? And people will say they need all the.
But then you also have to ask yourself: Did the Cleveland Browns continue to just defy all logic and bury themselves?
Yes,
with Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson, it wasn't overwhelmingly impressive. I know he'd been out and under. He seemed sort of indifferent to the pressure that was being cast upon him by constantly being under the George Santos now microscope, where every day somebody is following him with a microphone going, "What the fuck did you do now?" Can't believe he stiffed that Amish guy.
I think it's
not even on butter, on puppies. You know?
Yeah,
he didn't even buy one of those heaters, that cockamamie heaters. Remember what happened to those? They don't make them anymore? The Amish? Remember when they were advertising that like every other ad? Was for one of those heaters that they made. We do everything right here on the premises. Yeah, great. Okay, right. Meanwhile, you see some truck pulls up with Japanese lettering on it, right next to the buckboard. All right. I didn't want to mention the shooting again. I mean,
that's right.
You know what's really weird about that? I mean, this is it's frightening to say. But you're thinking, oh, good, only one person was killed.
Well, there was another one? Oh,
yeah,
I didn't.
Yesterday, mall in Texas, a Walmart.
No, there was really another one.
I think it was 2 guys this time perpetrating the crime. And fortunately, I mean, one of them was like collared right away, and I guess the other guy ran. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But, it was like 1 person killed and 3 wounded as a shooting. It looked like a Walmart, some kind of mall in Texas somewhere.
I really didn't.
That's how little we care about. It's not that we don't care, but I mean that's how immune we become to the tragic, catastrophic things that are going on. This nutbag that was on the campus at Michigan State had just been found to be like doubly paranoid schizophrenic, and yet they still let him go out and have like a gun. I think that had been confiscated from him. They let him have it back. Am I getting that story right, Lubie? I don't want to get too crazy here.
I have no idea. I didn't even hear about this thing. I am. It is unbelievable. Well, I'm not going to go into the diatribe again. I love that literally a whole group just stands by, thoughts, prayers. Okay, thanks NRA. Like
is Ted Cruz really going to run for president? Ted Cruz?
Oh, good for him. I love that I love that all these people are running that hate each other.
Yeah,
it feels very Democrat. Like usually the Democrats are the ones that have a lot of people running and fuck themselves. For once, it's nice to see the Republicans infighting. Like I love it. I love that little Ron.
How's this Nikki Haley, man? Is she like the new Anita Bryant? What is her deal? Yeah.
But she's still a loon. Like like they don't run.
Seemed a little strange to me when I was watching her, announcement that she's running for president.
No,
which you would have to put that one up there, like the Marlins winning the World Series. Zero shot.
Women. Yeah, come on.
Marlins. By the way, the over under. I have that 76 in a hook.
Oh wow!
For this year.
That's
They're expecting big things from Los Marlins. So that might be another time we can cash it. If we just hated them, I mean, why didn't we just go against it every year and just become antagonists and have the organization hate us? What was wrong with us? We wanted. I mean, we couldn't help but root for these guys. We liked Miggy. We liked Mattingly. We liked a lot of the people that were on the team. And, some of the people that we dealt with that were very, very nice.
Yeah, they were cool.
Dave Van Horn, man, one of my all-time favorites. Geffner. Who they sandbagged this year, after doing a great job for him for years. I mean, nobody was more into it than Glenn Geffner, man. And he was very good at what he did. He was very professional.
Yep.
His radio broadcasts, I mean, they sounded like a baseball guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we enjoyed talking. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's an excellent guy.
I'll
have to get him to be a baseball correspondent, see if he wants to do something.
He'll come out whenever we want. He couldn't before because they were fucking weird.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's even better. Give him a call, man. We'll do a little baseball preview next week. All right, we'll come back with Grant Long in just a moment. Now that.
The time.
Oh, and by the way, Jim Stoney wanted us to acknowledge Michaela Schifrin. Wins a giant slalom, sets a record for the most individual world championship medals, 13 an exciting run if you were watching on Peacock.
I love Sarnia. Like even look, at one point skiing was a big deal. Like in the 90s, I remember.
I used to enjoy it. I mean, I was into it.
80s, 70s.
I can't ski, but
no, but
can you
watching
ski?
it was great.
Yeah.
No, well, I'm actually not bad at skiing, but
Well, you knew the personalities, and they did have personalities. It was
up
great.
until the early 2000s, skiing was a big deal.
Tomba and all of those guys, man.
Alberto Tomba, and then you had Peekaboo Street and
Billy Kidd.
You had a nice group. The guy who was the crazy person that was supposed to win and never won.
Yeah.
That's great. Even then, no one cared about the Worlds? Like,
Bodie Miller, man. Bodie Miller was
the guy I'm talking. No one cared about the Worlds. Like even when it mattered, and it doesn't matter now. Like even in the Olympics, no one watches fucking skiing anymore.
No.
So I love Sarnia, but no one cares.
Very distant from my thought pattern here. Thinking about somebody schlepping down a mountain there on skis while you're thinking it's 80 fucking degrees outside. All right, we're coming back with Grant Long. I promise you that in a moment. Now that is that heroin itch that I just had, man. I mean, what's going on here?
It's just one thing you haven't.
A lot of people had the shakes on this plane, man. I thought maybe we were in some turbulence, but it was just the people shaking. I don't mean to make light of that, but it was just weird. I don't think all of them were afflicted with disease. They're so old, they start to shake. I'm getting there. Trust me. I don't know if I can hold my hand steady. It's 8:37.
Oh.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in Style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Grant Long joins us here on the show. All right, in your days at Romulus, if a guy was chucking him from 40, would he get beat up after school? I mean, this is Michigan basketball now, Detroit basketball.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to wait to after school.
Start your day with a cup of Defo. It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, this is always fun for us to welcome this gentleman to the program and talk about what's going on in the association. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and scorecard. Get your scorecard. Can't tell the players without a scorecard. I used to pride myself, as a sportscaster. You had to know rosters of teams and, affiliations of conferences in college basketball and in the pros. You should have some idea who's on the roster. But I find no feeling of shame in having no clue who or what comprises most of the teams now in the NBA, especially after what was a bloodbath of transactions at the trade deadline. We welcome to the show the great Grant Long, original member of the Miami Heat. And, of course, 15-year career in the NBA, and now a member of the Detroit Pistons broadcast team, and just a great guy. Grant, how are you, my friend? How's it going?
Hey, man, if I was doing any better,
somebody would come and arrest me. That's how good I'm doing. It's fun to be doing.
No, it's great. I mean, this was unusual. I mean, when did the NBA become the National Hockey League? You're expecting like Wild West type of stuff, in the NHL where they have like 4-team, 18-player transactions. But when did this start happening in the NBA? Could you believe all of the different things that took place by the trade deadline?
You know what? It is kind of unbelievable because when you go back in the history of the NBA, there's always been trades, but it's always been sort of the fringe players that you thought would be traded.
Yeah.
Now, no one's immune. The blockbuster, there's a blockbuster deal every year, every offseason. The marquee guys are moving. And that's one of the things that, to me, that's unheard of. We're seeing guys move who are talking about turning franchises around by going to the next team. And that typically doesn't happen. Those are the guys who are usually safe, but that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. I used to love it, man. It would be like you would see a transaction. It would be in the agate type. Nobody would really be talking about it. There was, no Woj or whatever. And, it would say that John Concac had been traded for, two guys that were deceased who had expiring contracts. And that was it. I mean, now you got Durant with the Phoenix Suns. I mean, you had the Lakers go through an overwhelming overhaul, including unloading Russell Westbrook, who I actually thought, I don't know why. I mean, did you think Russell Westbrook was a completely shot fighter, Grant Long, or was maybe just not a great fit with the Lakers? I watched him. I mean, the last I saw of him, I saw a snippet of Laker action. They were beating, I believe it was the Knicks in overtime. And in that overtime period, Westbrook makes like 4 successive plays that were brilliant, feeding off for baskets that allowed the Lakers to end up winning that game at Madison Square Garden. Did you think that he was a completely shot fighter? What do you think was wrong there with Westbrook in L.A.?
Well, here's what the Lakers can't do no longer. They can't blame him for
No,
that's true.
Yeah.
He was the scapegoat for the entire season, so he's gone now. So they've got to really stand up. But you know what? Here's the thing about Russell's timeline. He signed a 5-year extension, I believe, with the Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously 5 years ago, and proceeded to have 5 different teams after he signed that one.
Amazing, yeah.
For a guy who was the MVP, who led the league in triple doubles, passed Oscar Robertson, all of those things, you would think he could find a home on an NBA roster and stay there and make that team better. But from my estimation, he became the scapegoat for just about every team that he went to. Now, I saw this guy come into the league as a rookie, and felt like he was a guy that could turn your franchise around. He's the Bill Laimbeer in my estimation of guards, and what I mean by that is, if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, it's like, we don't want that guy, we don't like him. But if he's on your team, he's all for you. He's the best teammate that you can have. And he goes all out for his team and his teammates. He's one of those throwback guys, and I know this personally, that you see a lot of guys now playing buddy ball. They're friends. They don't have, it's no rivalry, so to speak.
Right.
If you're on Russell's team, he's one of those guys that says, hey, don't talk to those guys. They're the enemy. And I like that about him. But I guess it rubs a lot of other people the wrong way.
Look, Grant, and you cover the NBA closer than we do. You've been around it closer than we do. We've seen it transformed. Pretty much everyone on your 5-man lineup at the time on the court has to be able to shoot. Like, literally, that's what it's come to. In the past, you've had guards that were Hall of Famers. Look, John Stockton was an elite shooter. John Stockton was he got pretty good at that mid-range jumper, but he wasn't looking to score. He didn't even care about scoring, and it's funny, Russell Westbrook still can get to the basket almost as well as he always could. He still distributes. He's not a sieve on defense. He actually rebounds pretty well. So you would think there'd be a place for that, but he was already an okay shooter. He's now become a horrible shooter. He's become it's funny, but he's become a detriment to teams. And we're down here in Miami, that the Heat need a guard. They not even to shoot. They just need a guard to help facilitate desperately. And I still wonder if Russell Westbrook would fit. As a guy that covers the league this closely and knows Westbrook, do you see him fitting anywhere? Because you just said it. You used to love him on your team, hate him on the opponent, and now even his own teams hate him.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's true, they do.
Yeah, when you think about the Miami Heat, they could. Oh man, he would be a perfect fit. And if there's anybody that could, get this guy to conform, if you will, because now you're talking about a guy who's in his 30s, and probably still feels like he can turn a team around, which I think he can, but maybe not the way he did when he was 25 or 26. So, and he started to adapt to that role. Remember, he came off the bench for the Lakers after a whole lot of going back and forth. He embraced the fact that he was going to come off the bench and did well when he started coming off the bench. So he's already climbed that hurdle of realizing that he's not what he used to be, but he can still help in a reserve capacity. Hey, he's a plug-and-play type of guy. If you're the Miami Heat, why not go get this guy? And the Miami Heat have somebody that no other organization has. They have Pat Riley, and Pat Riley can get anybody to do anything. if I'm a guy, I'm Westbrook, and Pat Riley calls me, I'm coming.
Yes.
I'm coming right away because he's a guy that knows basketball. He knows winning basketball, championship basketball. If you can do it for Pat Riley, you can do it for anybody.
All right. The biggest of the blockbusters was the Phoenix Suns getting the services of Kevin Durant. Sean Marks, by the way, in Brooklyn has to feel like Harpo Marks at this point. I mean, a year ago, he had this sweetheart trio. James Harden, it was going to be great. Kyrie Irving, who got shipped to Dallas, and we'll get into that. It was going to be great. Had Durant on the team, and they were all dedicated to make Brooklyn. Now, my birthplace, a basketball institution. And, they needed, I mean, talk about lack of institutional control. All of those guys are gone now. And what does Durant do for the Suns? Do they... I mean, a lot of people said they immediately become the favorite in the West, which I'm not sure I'm willing to make that concession. But what do you think, Grant Long?
I think it puts them right at the top. Yeah. He puts them right at the top. Now, he won't do it himself, but given the fact that Devin Booker is hurt and we don't know, what his status is and how well he'll bounce back from his injury. But when you put Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and a long in the tooth but still very effective Chris Paul, those three guys, when you look at the West and the landscape over there, that's a pretty formidable trio that you're going to have to contend with. In a series, I wouldn't take money on them that they're going to lose. When you think about Golden State, to me, is still the team with their experience. They're the team to beat. But now that Kevin Durant is on Phoenix Suns, boy, it sure makes them very, very good. Can't forget about Denver also. Everybody
Denver. I was going to say
Denver, but yeah, you can't just dismiss Denver and what they've been able to accomplish.
Talking with Grant Long here, I find it surprising. I happen to be in a sports book in Atlantic City last couple of nights, and I did see Devin Booker was playing for the Suns. Durant was applauding as Booker put on a sensational display, as if he had not been impaired at all by injury. So I guess he has bounced back, and I'll be looking forward to
very quickly after that trade.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he's okay. and Ayton, I mean, is a strange commodity, Grant Long, because I don't know why he fell into such disfavor with the coach at the end of last year. But I mean, he essentially became like almost a DNP CD. They're in the postseason where you think he would have been, most, valuable to the team. And now this year, though, he's having a great year.
Yeah, and I don't know if the relationship with the coach has been repaired or just put on hold for the sake of the team. We don't know those ins and outs of it, but he is certainly playing a much better brand of basketball. And to me, he's the guy, when you go up against Golden State, when you go up against the Denver Nuggets, he's the guy that's going to help you win against those teams. Because if he doesn't come to play, despite what Kevin Durant and Devin Booker do, they're still going to be in trouble if DeAndre Ayton is not playing at the top of his game, because he can be a good defender. He's a very good pick and roll and pick and pop player. So they're going to need him to be at the top of his game if they're going to contend in the West. And let us not forget, the Dallas Mavericks without Kyrie Irving made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. So you add Kyrie Irving, that certainly has to give them a shot in the arm.
Would you want to play with Kyrie Irving? Grant Long. They're with the original Heat, and they acquire a guy that is Kyrie Irving. If we could, send him back in a time capsule, would you be a fan of being on his team?
Listen, I could play with the guy if he's going to play. Mm-hmm. I need to know, what the commitment is to the team. All of the outside interests, you can have all those, but I need to know what your commitment is to the team. He made a statement one day when he was with the Brooklyn Nets, and he said, "We've got to get to know each other. We've had so many guys out of the lineup." Well, and he was the only guy that was out of the lineup. So, you talk about familiarizing yourself with your teammate. You gotta. He wasn't with the team. He didn't travel. He didn't go to practice. Hey, are you committed to this team or not? So, that would be my concern. How committed are you with this team? And we're going to find out. We're going to find out how committed he is. And I think I said this before, that Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, I think he's savvy enough to say, I'll pull the deal on this. I'll pull the trigger on this deal, and I'm going to. If you earn a contract, it'll be incentive heavy. It'll be games played heavy in order for you to earn your money, because you've had a tendency to go missing here for 30, 40 games, and I can't have that.
Look, and I know with different eras, the game's not only played differently, the rules are different, it's officiated different, and then the way the players attack the game itself is different. So I get this era with the missing of games, it's totally nothing like what you played in. But even the fact that as much as this game has evolved, Grant, like I look at the fact that like they showed this stat down here a few weeks ago, and it was funny. Like Dwayne Wade, there was a season we thought he missed a ton of games, and he played 70. Like a guy playing an entire season now would play 70. Like, what do you do with that as a league? And this is becoming more and more of a deal as even LeBron, who never missed games, missing games. Like, if your guy plays 62, you're happy. And I don't know what you do with that. It seems a little ridiculous and ludicrous. And I don't know how the NBA mandates it. Look, they've tried to space out the back-to-backs and have less back-to-backs, and they've tried to make the season longer, and it doesn't matter. And to me, as a person who's sitting back watching the game, I don't get it. And Defo makes fun of me, but I used to love the NBA regular season, the whole thing. I don't get in the NBA now till well after the All-Star break, because to me, I don't know who's good and bad, even when we have standings, because no one plays.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on that one, Louis, because I'm thinking about the great Michael Jordan, and I think there was a stat out there that he played all 82 games like 8 or 9 seasons.
Yep.
And you think about how great he was as a player and how much energy he put out there every night. To play a full season, 9, 10 times of his 14 or 13 years, that's very, very impressive. Like I said, he carried the load every single night, and yet he was able to suit up for all 82 games. A lot of times. That was unheard of. That's unheard of now.
Yeah.
I even noticed that the term from 3 or 4 years ago, load management, they don't use it anymore. COVID provided an excuse, because now guys are missing games, and all they put in the small type is it's non-COVID related. Okay,
yes.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Non-COVID related. So now you can't
ache.
throw out the load management. You don't throw the load management term out there, because it was met with a lot of chagrin. So they just found a way to still rest players, so to speak, and call it non-COVID related. So I don't get it. And I'm from a player perspective, I want to play every night, every chance I get. And because what I do understand is that window is very short, guys. There's going to come a time where you can't play. There's going to be somebody else in your spot, and the coach is going to sit you on the bench in your uniform, and you're not going to play because you don't have the skill or the talent, or this time has passed you by. So you better load up on those games now and play as much as you can, because the opportunity to do it won't last a lifetime. It won't last, 10, 12 seasons. Guys don't do that anymore. Your opportunity to play in that window is very short. So that would be my take on it. I want to play as much as I can, and I'm not dodging anybody. I want your best game, whether it's my 4th game in 5 nights. I want your best game, and you're going to get my best game. That's being competitive.
Were you still a member of the Heat when Ronnie Cycli had that Asian flu that knocked him out of like half a season? How contagious was that? I mean, where was Dr. Fauci then? He missed like half the year with like the flu. It was incredible. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that bug was kind of flying. I think that bug stayed at his house. I don't know. That bug just kind of hovered around his house over there on Star Island.
All right, now who's doing the math on the length of the season here? Because how is it that the All-Star game is played after 60 games are already in the books? What do you think of that? What happened to like 41, 42, somewhere in there? Like a month ago, we should have had this game being played.
Maybe the logistics, it just didn't work out. They couldn't get everybody to Utah, Park City, Utah. and maybe the ski lodge wasn't open yet. I don't know what the case may be, but you're right. It's typically right around the 42, 43, 44 type game mark.
Yeah.
Here we are with just about 24 games left in the season. We're having an all-star game.
Yeah, why not?
Unheard of.
And nobody wants to play.
Wants to play.
Now, I mean, are you still a fan of and this has happened in baseball also, where the ancillary events, became more important than the game itself. Like people are more into the home run derby than they are of the actual All-Star game. The All-Star game in the NBA has always been, you would have to say, not exactly what Bobby Knight would hold up, in game film as the epitome of defense. So it's a little bit bogus, the way the game is contested. Are you still a big fan of the slam dunk and the 3-point shooting competition?
You know what? I used to think the creativity in the slam dunk contest is what really gets it.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, the guys are going just a little bit too far left with this thing now as far as being creative.
It's a woke society out there, Grant. Yeah.
Okay. You do all of this hype stuff, anticipating this great dunk because of what's going on before you even do the dunk. Yep. And then you miss the dunk because you.
Yeah.
So there's a guy the last year with some boots on and thought he was going to jump. How is that possible? You got some 6-pound boots on. I think that, like I said, I agree with the creativity, but at the end of the day, you got to dunk the basketball. And I think that's what a lot of guys are missing. They so caught up on the creativity that the dunk itself is less impressive because they're trying to be so creative. I mean, obviously Blake Griffin jumping over the car, that was nice. Some Dwight Howard dunking on a 12 or 13-foot basket, that was impressive. That to me might have been one of the best dunk contests when Dwight Howard and I think it was Aaron Gordon from Orlando when those guys really got creative and put on a show. That might have been the best one that I had seen in a long time, but I don't think I've seen any that compares to that since then.
I like when short guys were in the dunk,
Yeah, that was great.
Like Muggsy Bogues would win the thing, or
Robinson.
Wow. For some reason, being a Jewish kid, that you could not slip a piece of paper under my vertical leap. It was always impressive to me when the short guys could actually jam the basketball. Plus, they had the problem of having smaller hands. I think it was in Miami, and I would imagine this was on the night when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas, and there was a big buzz around, and they had the 3-point shooting contest, and like Larry Bird was in it. They had a lot of illustrious guys, and people, the top guys were still in the dunk, and I think it was Billy Thompson. But was he, not with the Heat at the time, that tried to dunk like either 2 or 3 basketballs on one move.
It was it was 2 basketballs he dunked. I remember that very well.
Did he complete that one? I mean, and he had one of them was like an ABA ball, so it was like really, really cool. That was fun back then, though. I mean, it was more raw, simple stuff than some of the spectacular things that you see today, where they got trampolines and all kinds of things. You don't know if you're watching a dunk contest or Rihanna doing a halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Levitating above the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, just levitation trick is always a good one, if you're trying to entertain people, that's for sure. And I mean, I've been looking at some results. I always think of you, and I actually had Romulus High School on my mind yesterday for some reason, thinking, wow, we should get into some NBA conversation with Grant Long. And the Detroit Pistons, though, every time I see the results, it's not looking too favorable. Swimming kind of in a sea of red ink, as I am financially. What's going on there with Detroit? Anything shaking that we can look, and see like a little positive sign down the road?
Well, they're aiming for that draft pick one more time.
Yep. They have a lot of those.
I wouldn't call it tanking, but we're the best at being the worst at this point. So,
oh, geez. Yeah.
And the prize for that, now you keep in mind, there is a prize for being the worst.
Yeah, Wembanyama is ridiculous.
Yeah,
there's a prize for being the worst. So and that guy is out there. We've got a team full of young guys. Listen to this, guys. We've got the last 5 years on our team. We've got the number 1, 2 number 2 picks, a number 6 pick, and a number 4 pick, I believe, are all on the Detroit Pistons right now by way of picking or by way of trade.
Oh, God.
They're all on the Pistons team right now. The last 3 or 4 years, they've got the number 2 and number 1 picks on their team. So they're young. It's a very young team, but at some point you got to start putting some talent on there and not just a lot of young guys. And I think that's what the issue is with Troy Weaver, the Pistons general manager. He's got to find a way to put some veteran guys on there and not just guys that are good locker room guys. You got to take a chance on some people that can still play and mesh with these younger guys, or it's not going to work. You just can't have a team full of young guys because they don't have the experience to win. And right now the Pistons are so young, they just do not have the experience to win. Some of the things that they do, turning the ball over in close game possession or in the fourth quarter where they can't score, that's a trait that's inherent to being young. So you can't even be mad about it because you have to expect young teams to turn the ball over, to throw it out of bounds, to throw it to the other team almost like they were playing with those guys, not make baskets, not be ready to play. All the things that are inherent to being young, the Pistons are experiencing right now. So you've got to add some veteran guys who can still play. And I think that's the task for Troy Weaver this offseason.
Those are many of the same themes that Lubie was complaining about when he was coaching a bunch of 8-year-olds.
I was going to say, I'm having flashbacks.
sounded like an experience he had when he was a Red Auerbach of the Tiny Tots League. Going to be an exciting race there for that number 1 pick. And what is this guy, like the 7'5" guy that shoots threes like he was Dirk Nowitzki and can go to the basket, defends as if he was the second coming of Clifford Ray. I mean, this is going to be some race with Detroit and Charlotte, and of course the Houston Rockets, who do a fine job of screwing things up. They might be my leaders in terms of the ability to tank. So we'll see what happens. Grant, always a pleasure, my friend. A lot of fun and great insight as always. You be well. It sounds like you're doing great, and we thank you so much for being with us here on the program. It's always a pleasure.
Hey guys, enjoy your day.
All right, we'll do. Grant Long, ladies and gentlemen. Very good stuff from Grant Long today. No.
Yeah, Grant's always great. He's always fun.
Always good.
He has a sense of humor about it, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that was weird, though. That Asian flu that Ronnie Cycli had, I'll never forget that. Didn't he miss like 43 games with the flu?
I was very young in my tenure.
This was way we're talking like 30 years prior to COVID. I mean, even being in the vocabulary of, any American citizen or NBA fan. All right, our podcast today on Believe Network, that's BLEAV, going to be a hoot. Because I know this man was a huge advocate of the Philadelphia Eagles in this game, and he hates Andy Reid like poison. and he had just done an absolutely, the most disparaging picture he had painted of Andy Reid going into this game.
Yeah, he can't be happy at all.
As a head coach in this spot. And then everybody is attributing the Chiefs' comeback victory to the brilliance of Reid and whoever, was, making these halftime adjustments, where Philadelphia had pretty much dominated the first half of that game. If you think about it, right? I mean, the touchdown, they would have been held to 3 points, except for the fact they got that defensive score, which was a bit of a fluke. Yeah.
The Chiefs were lucky. The funny thing is the Chiefs actually could have been down by less, but they could have been down by a lot more. They did not look good in that first half.
No,
they didn't do whatever they wanted.
It was looking like it was going to be something along the lines of, 40 to 50 with the Eagles, and maybe the Chiefs lucky to, put up 24. And, sure enough, it turned around. Two brilliant calls there on goal line plays or, inside the 5-yard line. Same play, opposite side. How many times have you done that, Lubie?
Oh, in life.
You play a 3-on-3 in the park there, and you run a square out on one side, then you just line up on the other side and do a square out on the other side, right?
Yep.
And if you were Terrell Owens, a real professional, you can catch the ball, turn to your left, catch it, turn to your right, and in traffic. But it was brilliant what happened. The second half was a complete, total turnaround. It was like the De La Hoya Sugar Shane Mosley fight, right? Where Sugar Shane is getting the shit beat out of him for 6 rounds, and then the next 6 he dominates, but they still have him overwhelmingly ahead on the scorecard somehow.
Exactly.
We don't really care for Oscar. Maybe they knew some things. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. And don't forget, Believe Podcast. Brandon Lang going to be our guest, as he always is on the Thursday podcast on Believe. That's BLEAV. And we'll get into a bunch of stuff with him on that. And then tomorrow, we'll also be coming your way with our Degenerate Friday. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like during the basketball season, but it
And
should
will
be fun.
be with
Professor will be with us, yeah.
He'll be with us, and I mean, we can serve the Greek. Look, the Greek is as in on the action as anyone. He has nearly his afternoon show handicappers every day, so he does it year round. There's no reason why he can't continue.
College hoops, I mean, been wide open this year. Unbelievable. I don't know what you can count on there.
As a gambler, I have no idea what you do, so I'd love to have the Greek continue.
A lot of people think that's the easiest sport to hit. I'm not sure that that's the case because I'm not well versed enough in it to actually have any overwhelming amount of confidence. But I mean, the one thing that you can count on is that a lot of teams that look like they should be completely overmatched somehow are more than possible winners. On money line bets with big odds. Right? I don't know. I mean, Tennessee was a representative basketball team. What were they ranked? Are they ranked in the top 10? Yeah, they're number 6.
Yeah.
Alabama number 1 though, and Alabama had just achieved, and moved into the number 1 spot, and then whoosh, the number one's always. This happens. It's not atypical of a college basketball season, is it? I mean, going back to the days of the Wizard, no one was beating UCLA. They'd rattle off 87 wins in a row.
No, the number one list every week is sort of the last few years. You used to get number one that would build steam and be number one. How many weeks in a row have they been number one?
Purdue's been number one twice this year and screwed it up. So
yeah, everyone, it seems like this year's doing it because there's really no clear-cut favorite. It is wide open.
Wide open, my friends. All right, and then we'll have Mike Mayo's lunchbox later on today. How's Mayo doing? Is he all right?
He's great. Okay, so we talked about this, the owner that lashed out at.
Oh yeah. Is he having him on
last week? That's today. He wanted you to be a part of that. Today we're gonna have in one segment the owner, and in the next segment Jeff Weinstein himself.
Wow.
Now,
that's strong stuff, man. Some journalism coming on the lunch.
Now, a lot of the people who do new age television would have wanted them together so we could have a Stephen A. Skip Bayless. But
I think this is better. Let them both state their case.
Exactly. We don't do that on our show.
The people can decide. Yeah. And anyway, there was a lot of acrimony between the two guys. I read those, that thread on Let's Eat South Florida. And, I mean, the guy had every right to be pissed off, and he thought it was, a Trump-like witch hunt with Weinstein. And let's face it, I don't know. Weinstein is only known for that, where he goes into places, these are places that, and a very serious face about the thing. I mean, not to disrespect him on what he's doing, but, and you would want to know, hey, is this place infested with cockroaches? Are they crawling all over the kitchen?
Yes.
But, it is true what the guy said, the owner, that, look, I mean, what place hasn't had like a single roach?
One roach? Come on.
Ever.
I mean, that's the problem is he'd been around 20 years and never, to be in South Florida 20 years and never get dinged ever.
I'll give you one. I was at the Forged, and now remember Mike said it was possibly going to reopen. All right, so I became friends with Malkin's son, the guy that owned it. His son was involved in boxing promotions, and we got to be friendly, and he was always inviting me to come out to the Forge, so I finally took him up on it one time, and there was literally like a small roach. I didn't even mention this to the people because they didn't see it, that happened to crawl on the table leg while we were dining at the Forge in the dining room, for God's sake. Right? But it's not like rats were crawling on the wall in this joint, but it seems that way because it's kind of a sensational thing. So that'll be interesting today. Mike Mayo and the lunchbox getting into a nice controversial thing that was on the thread there. Let's Eat South Florida on the Facebook page. All right, we'll have Brandon Lang at 11 o'clock. Mike Mayo at 12. 11 o'clock. The Brandon Lang interview is on Believe podcast. BLEAV. And the show's called After Hours with Defo and Lubie, which we're about to conduct right now. So we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
And thanks to Gurggles, Grant Long, and the Hialeah people, just tremendous. Don't forget El Boxeo on the 24th. That's a week from Friday. It is 9:09.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.